They say that he was killing people just to kill them, men, women, children, it didn't matter.
New leaked video has come out showing fellow Navy SEALs calling Edward Gallagher essentially a psychopath. So Gallagher is the Navy SEAL that was pardoned by Donald Trump in November. And this information that has come out about him, I mean, it was already clear before that Edward Gallagher was not a good person based on the information that we have. But now there's new information out from his fellow Navy SEALs that really paints a picture that this guy is not well and should not have been pardoned. So let me show you some of this here. So Slate quotes one of the Navy SEALs talking about Edward Gallagher here, saying, they say, "You could tell he was perfectly okay with killing anybody that was moving." So that's just one quote out of a number of quotes about his fellow Navy SEALs and their thoughts on him. I'm going to play this piece from NBC. It's actually a really good breakdown of this. So let me share this.
There is news this morning on a case we followed very closely here on Today involving retired Navy SEAL Edward Gallagher. NBC's senior national correspondent Kate Snow is here with that story. Good morning, Kate.
Kristen, as you know, this is a case the president has been personally involved in. This past summer, Gallagher was acquitted of shooting civilians and killing a captive ISIS fighter. But this morning, The Weekly, a TV series from the New York Times, has exclusively obtained Navy interviews with the SEAL team members who accused Gallagher of misconduct in the first place. Up until now, they had only been quoted in trial. We want to warn you, what you're about to see and hear is disturbing.
The platoon members come in and they paint a picture of a platoon leader who has gone totally rogue. They say that he was killing people just to kill them, men, women, children, it didn't matter.
The guy was toxic. We can't let this continue.
The Times reviewed hundreds of text messages they say were sent by Gallagher, disparaging the SEALs who reported him.
He is repeatedly reaching out to other SEALs, telling them about this investigation and how angry he is. And he wants to spread the names of his accusers to make sure people know, in the hopes that they will be blacklisted by other SEALs.
Helmet camera video obtained by The Weekly, never seen outside of a courtroom, shows the ISIS fighter prosecutors accused Gallagher of murdering. Gallagher is seen with a medic bag pushing him, and then the camera goes black. It's not clear why.
You say he's stabbing one time, multiple times.
In 2018, SEAL team member Corey Scott told investigators he saw Gallagher stab the ISIS fighter multiple times.
It was probably 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
It was just like a stab about right here, just in a few times.
Is there any possible way that what he was doing could be interpreted as for medical purposes to help this guy?
No.
There's no way this was anything other than to attack and to kill this person?
No.
But Scott changed his story at Gallagher's trial and said he was the one who killed the fighter.
Did you suffocate him?
Yes.
Eddie Gallagher was convicted of posing for a photo with the corpse. He was found not guilty of murder and attempted murder and has long proclaimed his innocence.
There's a couple of members of the platoon who had a personal animosity towards Eddie Gallagher. They didn't perform well in combat. They were afraid of being called out for being cowards. They made up a story and they went with it.
Overnight, Gallagher's attorney calling their accounts unsupported and fake.
If there was a problem with Chief Gallagher's mental state, they would have examined him, they would have found that, but there's none.
In November, President Trump ordered the Pentagon not to strip Gallagher of his rank and Trident pin. The Navy secretary was fired for his handling of the case. The president publicly showing support for the Navy SEAL.
He was a great fighter. He was one of the ultimate fighters. Tough guy.
Just this weekend, Gallagher posting photos, meeting President Trump for the first time at Mar-a-Lago. The Navy SEALs and an attorney for Corey Scott are not commenting. NBC News has not spoken with any of the individual SEALs shown in those taped interviews, but the New York Times has reached out to every one of them. They all declined to comment in print and on camera. Gallagher's lawyer tells us that he plans to file a lawsuit, guys, against The Weekly and against the reporter.
And Kate, you mentioned that the New York Times reviewed text messages that had been sent by Gallagher, but those weren't the only ones, right?
Right. They also looked at group text messages that were sent between the SEALs SEALs who you just saw who reported Gallagher, one of them saying, we are going to answer to a higher power someday, and everything happens for a reason. Not compromising our integrity and keeping right on our side is all we can do. Gallagher's attorney says those text messages between those guys show that they were coordinating their stories.
Certainly has gotten a lot of attention, Kate.
And I think it will again today.
We should note, by the way, that you can watch the full episode of The Weekly on Hulu. It's available right now.
All right, that gives you a good overview. This is the kind of story where it just shows you how evil this Trump administration is. Like, what's Trump's play here? When you have other Navy SEALs, like when Edward Gallagher is in the minority here, and other Navy SEALs are saying the opposite of what Trump's been saying about Gallagher, like, I don't really understand who you're appealing to. I mean, when you look at even something like the breakdown of the military contributions, look, Bernie Sanders has the most support from military families by far. Look, Trump's down here in third place. And so there's this like media narrative out there that, oh, Trump's on the side of the military. But when he has moves like this, it's just he's on the side of evil. Like he's not on the side of the military. He's on the side of evil. Now, sure, he's on the side of military contractors that look to make lots of money by blowing shit up. But Bernie Sanders is on the side of actual people that are in the military. So there is definitely a serious divide here from like what reality is and what we're told from Trump himself and the way that Trump is covered in the media and his apparent support from the military that doesn't really exist. So the whole story is just incredibly, it's disgusting, but it's also weird. And I have a hard time understanding why he would pardon someone like this when it's so clear that everybody else around him paints a completely different picture about who Edward Gallagher is.